I don't care if you're wearing a brand new pair of ReSound hearing aids. Once you see this detailed review, you're going to want to upgrade to these. Hey guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona, and in this video, I'm doing a detailed review of the new ReSound Vivia hearing aids. On February 4th, 2025, major hearing aid manufacturer ReSound announced the release of their new Vivia receiver and canal hearing aids. And the headline feature of this new hearing aid is no surprise, as they are taking the next logical step forward and adding a deep neural network that uses artificial intelligence to separate speech from background noise. Of course, I'm not exactly sure how this deep neural network is helping with the ReSound Vivia hearing aids, but I'll cover why here in a little bit. Although they too have a very impressive sound sample that I'll play for you a little bit later in this video to show you how impressive these devices are. Now I have to admit, I'm getting rather impressed with these quite frequent hearing aid upgrades from these major hearing aid manufacturers every 12 to 18 months. A lot of this is due to the breakneck speed of hearing aid technological advancement and competition inside of the hearing aid industry. ReSound has clearly released their most impressive hearing aid to date, but can their hearing aid compete with other major hearing aids from Phonak, Oticon, and Starkey, who have already released deep neural network processing hearing aids? Well, we are about to find out. Now, before I get started with this detailed review, you have to remember that it does not matter how impressive these hearing aids are if you have not had them fit and programmed by a hearing care professional who follows comprehensive audiologic best practices. Best practices are a series of considerations and procedures that a hearing care professional must follow in order to maximize the performance of your hearing aids. Unfortunately, estimates suggest that only between 5 and 30% of hearing care professionals actually follow best practices when fitting and programming hearing aids, which is why I recommend that if you're looking for a hearing care professional that does follow these best practices, you should be checking out my website, hearingup.com, and finding a Hearing Up Network member in your area. Every single Hearing Up member has been vetted and is committed to following comprehensive audiologic best practices to ensure that you can hear your absolute best with your hearing aids. So if you want to make sure that you're actually getting your money's worth with the ReSound Vivia hearing aids, going to a Hearing Up member near you is your best bet. That being said, let's kick off this review with some of the basics, starting with the available models of this hearing aid. The ReSound Vivia comes in several different models, including a rechargeable micro-re with a compatible micro-re cross transmitter for individuals with single-sided deafness, as well as size 312 and size 13 disposable battery models. Now, I love that ReSound is still releasing disposable battery models of their hearing aids. Just keep in mind that if you are going to be using a disposable battery hearing aid, it is extremely difficult to open disposable battery packaging now, thanks to federal laws in the United States. While this new packaging is designed to prevent children from swallowing batteries, it makes it almost impossible for someone with poor finger dexterity to get into these battery packages. Now, the Vivia hearing aids can be used to treat a wide range of hearing losses, anywhere from a mild level hearing loss all the way up to a severe to profound level hearing loss. Each model can use either a low power, medium power, high power, or ultra power receiver. They are also compatible with the Marie receivers that have the microphone and the receiver that go inside of your ear canal. Now, keep in mind that if you have a moderately severe level of hearing loss or worse, you're probably not going to want to use a rubber dome on these receivers. You're probably going to want to use a custom ear mold like the one that you see here. This allows you to trap significantly more sound inside of your ear canals, and you can get these custom ear molds made with either a physical impression from your hearing care professional or a 3D digital scan. My general rule of thumb is that if you need a high power receiver or stronger, you have to be using a custom ear mold if you want to get the full benefit. And that is absolutely true when it comes to these ReSound Vivia hearing aids as well. Of course, ReSound still offers a variety of different hair and skin color options for this hearing aid, as well as the new navy blue and red color. The Vivia also comes in 4 different technology levels. You have level 9, level 7, level 5, and level 4, with level 9 being their premium offering. Now, if you're new to the concept of technology level, just know that each time that you drop down in technology level, it takes features and customizations away from your hearing care professional when they're trying to optimize the performance of your devices for you. However, each time that you drop down in technology level, it also reduces the cost of the hearing aids. How much does it reduce the cost? Well, typically each technology level you go down, it reduces the price by several hundreds of dollars, and ultimately if you drop down from a level 9 to a level 4, you could be saving yourself $1,000 or more per device. That being said, it is impossible for me to estimate the price of these devices for you because the price is heavily dependent on a variety of different factors, including where you live, what services are included with your purchase, the quality of those services, and ultimately the technology level. So if you want to know the price, just reach out to your local hearing care professional's office. They'll have you in for a consultation to find out exactly what services and devices you need, and then they'll be able to give you a price estimate. All right, guys, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure that you do me a huge favor and click the like button. It really helps out the channel. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well. It is greatly appreciated. And let me know down in the comments section which features you're looking for in a new pair of hearing aids. All right, so as far as customizability goes with the ReSound Vivia hearing aids, it's not great. Even the premium technology level 9 devices only give you 10 different equalizer adjustment bands in the programming software, which is less than half of other premium hearing aid brands that give you up to 24 different equalizer adjustment bands for matching prescriptive targets. On top of that, I routinely struggle to match these high frequency prescriptive targets using ReSound hearing aids, whether I'm using rubber domes or custom ear molds. This is a perfect example of a ReSound programming session where I'm trying to match the hash mark line, which is the prescription for this individual's hearing loss, with the solid line. And as you can see, I am not doing a very good job of matching the hash mark prescriptive curve. There are several different types of programs your hearing care professional can add to these hearing aids that you can then access through either the push button of these devices or through your smartphone app. I should also add that there is no automatic activation of these features. So if you're the type of person who just wants to put your hearing aids and go throughout the day without having to manipulate your own program settings, these hearing aids may not be the best for you. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at these devices. Now, I know I already showed you my custom ear molds, which I tend to prefer, especially with these hearing aids that use a deep neural network, but let's cover the actual features of the hearing aid itself. Now, the ones that ReSound sent me to review are the Micro Re. So this is the rechargeable version of this hearing aid. They actually sent it to me in their new color, which is navy blue. I'm a huge fan of blue, as you can see from the lighting in the background of this video, but this is what the hearing aid looks like. Of course, it is incredibly small. It's actually impressive that they fit all the features that they could inside of these hearing aids with them being so small. These Micro Re's have a single push button on the back. There is an indicator light that's on it as well to let you know that it's fully charged and if it's turning off and turning on. They're still using the same receiver attachment on there, which makes it really difficult to actually change out these receiver wires, but ultimately I feel like they've improved on the ability to get these receivers on and off of their devices. It's really hard for me to describe just how much ReSound has improved the build quality of their hearing aids over the past several years, especially when you compare the old Lynx 3D devices to these new ReSound Vivia devices. They look very similar to the previous generation ReSound Nexia and ReSound Omnia devices. Now, the size 312 disposable battery version of this hearing aid is a little bit bigger to be able to house that battery, and they still have a single push button on that one. If you end up going with the size 13 disposable battery option of this hearing aid, there's actually a push button toggle, meaning there's an up and a down, so you can do more things with that push button than what you can do with these. Now, the biggest change on the external portion of this hearing aid is the actual microphone covers, and hopefully you guys can see those there. I'll take a separate photo for you here as well, because those microphone covers are actually removable, which is a nice feature because now instead of you having to go and brush out the microphones and try to suction out the microphones, you can just change that cover. Because remember, if sound can't get into the hearing aid because of dirt and debris, then no sound's going to be amplified for you. All right, so you're probably interested to see what these actually look like inside of my ears. So we've got the left one here that I'll work in. And again, I'm using the custom ear molds on this. If you're the type of person who does not want to or doesn't need to use a custom ear mold, it may look a little differently, but these are actually probably the best custom ear molds that I've received from ReSound over the past several years of these reviews, and super comfortable. I actually think they're pretty slim looking as well. And let me just give you a side profile there, and I will work around to where you can see behind my ears. And you can see there that these are pretty small receiver and canal devices. The navy color works. I probably should have worn my navy shirt for this video, but nevertheless, I think that you can pick out pretty much any color you want to match either your hair color or get a hearing aid color that stands out. As you can see, I am a glasses wearer, and there's absolutely no issue of me putting my glasses on and taking my glasses off. As far as the comfort of these hearing aids, because they're so small, you can hardly tell that you're even wearing them, and it doesn't even really look like they're pushing out on my ears that much. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the charger here a little bit. And I'm gonna take these out of my ears because I wanna show you something very specifically with this charger. So I'm actually gonna pop the hearing aids down inside of here. We do have some indicator lights on there that go off to let us know how much charge we have in those devices, and you can see that they are charging because the lights are on. They're actually probably topped off right now. I topped them off before this video. I do want to show you here that this charger has a couple indicator lights on the back there. That lets you know that you're storing some additional charges inside of the case itself. Typically that will light up with 3 if you have a completely charged case, but as you can see, I've been using a little bit of the charge out of this case, so now we're down to 2 lights on there. Honestly, the charger is very similar to previous chargers. The one thing that I'm not a huge fan of with this charger here, and this is the premium charger, is that they have a rubber lining inside of here that you put the hearing aid into. And if you don't actually pull it out on the right angle, it can kind of get stuck a little bit on that rubber and make it more difficult to pull the hearing aid out. So if you're someone with poor finger dexterity, this charger might not be the best charger for you. Of course, they do have plenty of space that you can see down in there for some custom ear molds, which you know I have a lot of issues with other hearing aid manufacturers. ReSound does not have that issue. Now, this is their premium charger. They also have a standard charger that does not have an internal power bank but has a lid, and a desktop charger that has no internal power bank and it does not have a lid. Now, as far as battery life is concerned, you can get up to about 30 hours of battery life with these hearing aids if you're not doing any streaming and you're not using the deep neural network at all. With typical usage, you should expect to get up to around 24 hours of battery life, which is still pretty good. Now, if you wanted to use the deep neural network chip the entire time that you're wearing these hearing aids, your battery life is going to drop down to around 10 hours. Honestly, it only takes a few hours to get these hearing aids charged up when they're inside the case, so as long as you put your hearing aids in the charger at night when you go to bed, when you wake up the next morning, you should have a completely full charge. All right, let's go ahead and get into some of the more exciting stuff, including connectivity. As far as streaming goes, the Vivia hearing aids are equipped with several different types of Bluetooth. You have the new Bluetooth LE audio protocol, you have Bluetooth low energy for iPhones, and the Asha Bluetooth protocol for Android phones that do not have the new LE audio protocol. I didn't have any issues pairing the Vivia hearing aids up to my iPhone or my Samsung Galaxy S23. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the type of Bluetooth that you're going to end up using heavily depends on the type of wireless devices you're trying to connect to. So if you're an iPhone user, you're going to have to currently use the Bluetooth low energy protocol. They do not have the new Bluetooth LE audio protocol inside of iPhones yet. Yes, you will sacrifice streaming sound quality if you use an iPhone with this hearing aids, because if you have a Bluetooth LE audio enabled device like my Samsung Galaxy S23, you can use this new LE audio to stream much better quality sound into your ears using the Vivia hearing aids. The reason why this new LE audio Bluetooth protocol is better is because it gives you better streaming sound quality at a lower bit rate, which preserves battery life. That means when you're streaming sound from an LE audio enabled device like the Samsung Galaxy devices, you get much better sound quality with much lower battery drain compared to an iPhone. However, if you happen to have an Android device that does not use the LE audio protocol, you're going to have to use the Asha Bluetooth protocol, which in my opinion is pretty much garbage when it comes to sound quality and connectivity stability. LE audio also enables you to share audio with somebody else who has LE audio enabled devices. But perhaps the most exciting feature that is made possible by LE audio is the new Auracast broadcast audio feature. Auracast will eventually give you access to a public venues audio system that you can tap into and stream directly into both of your Vivia hearing aids. This includes venues like churches, museums, sports bars, and even Broadway shows, to name a few. Eventually, this feature will completely replace the need for telecoils inside of hearing aids and hearing loops inside of public venues, although it's going to take several years for widespread adoption of this. And just to remind you, this feature is not available with iPhones yet. It is only available with Android phones that are equipped with Bluetooth LE audio. That being said, if you still want access to a telecoil with the Vivia hearing aids, you can either go with the size 13 disposable battery model that has an internal telecoil, or you can get access to a telecoil using one of the ReSound accessories. For the rechargeable micro re and the size 312 disposable battery models of this this hearing aid, you will need to use the ReSound Multi-Mic Plus to gain access to this telecoil feature. You can also gain access to directly streamed audio from your TV if you use the TV Streamer Plus. Now, this TV Streamer Plus uses Auracast as well, so anyone who has Auracast enabled devices like hearing aids, earbuds, or headphones can also stream audio from your TV directly into their ears. Now, you can still use any of the older legacy accessories with the Vivia hearing aids, including the micro mic, the multi-mic, and the TV streamer too. I should also add that the ReSound Vivia hearing aids are also compatible with the remote control, so if you're the type of person who needs to make volume adjustments or program adjustments on your hearing aids and you don't want to use the push button or a smartphone app, you can use the remote control to do so. Of course, most people are just going to forego using a remote control and they'll just use the ReSound Smart 3D app on their phone. Now, the ReSound Smart 3D app allows you to do a lot of different things with your hearing aids other than just adjusting your programs and volume. And while you can adjust your programs and volume, you can also make different manipulations to them with your sound enhancer. You get a 3-band equalizer, you get a couple of different noise reduction options that you have for these. If your hearing care professional has set up a program for you that uses the tinnitus manager, you can actually adjust the masking sounds that you're using for your tinnitus, which is a nice feature. You can activate different accessories with this app as well. You can check the status of your hearing aids and their connection to your phone and to other wireless devices, and even check your battery life. In the My ReSound tab, you can activate and deactivate different tap controls of your hearing aids. You can use the Find My Hearing Aid feature. And under the More section, you can pair new devices, you can pair new wireless accessories. You can use the Check My Fit feature to ensure that your hearing aids are fitting properly inside of your ear canals, and you can activate your ReSound Assist for a remote care session with your hearing care professional from the comfort of your own home. Now, ReSound has actually added a new feature called Auracast Assistant that you can gain access to if you're using an LE Audio enabled device and you have it toggled on. Although while I was successful at being able to identify that there was an Auracast signal inside of my house because my wife was broadcasting Auracast audio from her smart device, I was not able to make connection and stream the audio into my ears using the Vivia hearing aids. And just to confirm that this was not an issue with the Auracast broadcast signal from my wife's phone, I was able to use my Galaxy Buds Pro to stream that audio directly into my ears, so I know that it was an issue with the Vivia hearing aids. Fortunately, ReSound has some time to work through this particular feature because you're not going to find a whole lot of public venues yet that use this Auracast transmission. And while iPhone users do not have the ability to tap into an Auracast transmission or use LE Audio Bluetooth, you do get a nice feature with an iPhone, which is using their Apple Watch to make several adjustments to your devices. This is something that you cannot yet do with an Android device. Now, if you would like to check out my full detailed tutorial of the ReSound Smart 3D app, I will have this video linked down in the description for you. All right, now that we have all of the basics of these hearing aids out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the exciting feature of these devices, which is their new deep neural network. Now, keep in mind, this deep neural network is only available inside of the premium level 9 technology, which means that you will not have access to the deep neural network if you go with the level 7, level 5, or level 4 device of the ReSound Vivia. On top of that, the deep neural network is only available inside of the rechargeable micro version of this hearing aid, which means that if you go with the disposable battery models of this hearing aid, you're not going to get access to the deep neural network. Now, if that is not the universe trying to tell you to go with the highest level of technology and the rechargeable version of this hearing aid, I'm not really sure what it's trying to tell you. All right, let's go ahead and get back on track. So a deep neural network is essentially an artificial human brain that has the ability to learn based on the inputs that you provide it using artificial intelligence. In the case of ReSound's new deep neural network, it was trained with over 13.5 million spoken sentences in known background noise such as traffic and cafeteria environments, so it could learn the characteristics of speech to maximize the efficiency of speech identification. So I said this back in like 2021, but deep neural network sound processing is going to be the future of all hearing aids at some point. And just like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Oticon, Phonak, and Starkey have already implemented deep neural networks inside of their hearing aids, and Oticon is already on the second generation of this technology. Now, just like Phonak, ReSound ReSound has elected to create a completely separate chip inside of their Vivia hearing aids to perform this deep neural network sound processing and separate speech from noise. At the same time, they're using their 360 chip for other digital features and combining the benefits of both chips to provide you with optimal speech understanding and noise suppression. Let me go ahead and play you a quick sound sample of these hearing aids in background noise so you can hear it for yourself.
Asking for directions in a busy street can be frustrating, especially if you're talking to somebody with a funny accent, like my friend here.
Well, just select the new Intelligent Focus program in your app, and you can hear my voice loud and clear without distractions.
Clearly, these hearing aids are doing a really good job at helping you separate speech from background noise. Just keep in mind that your performance with these hearing aids will heavily depend on how your hearing care professional has set them up to work for you, and if you're using a custom ear mold or a rubber dome, and how open or occluded those are. When I wear these hearing aids, I can clearly hear the difference between the all-around program and the Hear in Noise program that utilizes this deep neural network. And yes, it is important to understand that this feature does not activate automatically for you. You have to switch over manually into the Hear in Noise program that has this deep neural network activated. This Hear in Noise program activates ReSound's Intelligent Focus feature, which combines the deep neural network-based noise reduction called Intelligent Noise Tracker and their 4-microphone binaural beamformer. Now, just in case I lost you with all of that technological jargon, basically what I'm saying here is that the Hear in Noise program utilizes both the deep neural network and directional microphones to optimize your ability to separate speech from noise. And just in case you're new to the world of directional microphones, by having multiple microphones on each of these hearing aids, it allows them to do polar plotting to isolate speech coming from particular directions, and in this particular case, the direction that you're facing. Which also means that if you want to benefit from the deep neural network, you have to also be using these directional microphones, which means that you have to be facing the person you want to hear. You cannot use the benefit of the deep neural network when someone is speaking to you from your sides or from behind you, because you have to use it only inside of this directional mode. Now, I had to press ReSound pretty hard to actually give me an idea of how good these hearing aids did in background noise situation during lab testing. They don't actually like to use signal to noise ratio improvement like the other hearing aid manufacturers do, because they say that it's not really an accurate or good measure of trying to identify what you're looking for when separating speech from noise. That being said, they did say that you get around a 9 to 10 decibel signal to noise ratio improvement when using their directional microphone feature, especially if you have completely occluded ear canals, which is not common for a lot of hearing aid users. So what is the signal to noise ratio benefit of their deep neural network specifically? Honestly, I'm not really sure. According to ReSound's white paper, the majority of benefit of this new Hear in Noise program is from using their 4-microphone binaural beamformer, which happens to extend the directional sound processing all the way down to 250 Hz. And to get this full benefit, you have to be using either fully occluding power domes or fully occluding ear molds, which are pretty rare among hearing aid users like I mentioned earlier. All that to say that I think that the binaural beamformer is very impressive inside of these hearing aids, but I'm not really sure what the deep neural network is actually doing. And when in doubt, I always like to refer to HearAdvisor, which is an independent third-party hearing aid testing lab that puts these hearing aids through very consistent testing so you can compare apples to apples. And unfortunately, the ReSound Vivia hearing aids did not perform very well. In the initial first fit settings, before customizing the amplification levels using real ear measurement, the Vivias only received a B sound grade, and their speech and noise score is one of the worst that I've ever seen at a 0.6 out of 5. Of course, the true test is when the programming is verified using real ear measurement, which gives us the tune score. In almost all cases, real ear measurement results in a significantly better performance of a hearing aid. However, they still only received a sound grade of B, going from an initial score of 3.9 to a score of 4.1. But even worse was the speech and noise score only went from a 0.6 to a 1.3 out of 5. When you consider the HearAdvisor independent rankings for performance and background noise, the ReSound Vivia is ranked dead last out of the top 10 hearing aids tested in background noise by a wide margin, which is pretty concerning. Ultimately, this calls into question whether you should consider the ReSound Vivia hearing aids as a viable option if hearing and background noise is your top priority. Overall, it seems as though existing ReSound hearing aid users have an extreme preference for the new Vivia hearing aids compared to their old sold hearing aids from ReSound because 89% of them had preference for this intelligent focus feature. Now, I know I gave you some HearAdvisor data on these hearing aids in this video, but what did ReSound find when they compared these hearing aids to another major brand that also uses a deep neural network and 4-microphone beamformer? What they found is that 64% of the test subjects scored better on speech intelligibility testing using their intelligent focus feature inside of the Vivia hearing aids, compared to only 36% of test subjects scoring better on speech intelligibility with the other brand. How much better did the 64% perform? I'm not really sure if their speech intelligibility scores were 2% higher or 50% higher. Personally, I think the ReSound Vivia hearing aids are definitely the best hearing aids that ReSound has ever created, and they're probably in the same ballpark as the other major hearing aid manufacturers that have already released a deep neural network sound processing hearing aid, with the big caveat of if they're fit and programmed properly. Could they be the best hearing aids for you? It's really hard to know based on all the variables that are required to identify the perfect hearing aid technology, but chances are if you're a satisfied ReSound hearing aid user, you're going to be an extremely satisfied Vivia user. That is, if you end up going with the highest level of technology using the micro-re devices.